Okay, so I'm back, and finally we got the spring 1902 moves. Since I recorded yesterday, um, some of the last things that happened in the winter was that my diplomacy with Germany completely fell off. Um, they were very mad at me, um, like genuinely, like they were actually unpleasant to write with. Um, they were just being unreasonable. As I think I mentioned, I was planning on going to tour with the Venice unit, um, and they didn't like that. But I told them that, and it's fair enough that they did not like that. Obviously, that's not the direction that would be best for the Germany player. But I genuinely were not planning on attacking Germany with that tour unit. Not really. I was basically just planning on being able to hold Munich. Um, I guess you could say that by the fact that I'm holding Munich, I leave open the option that I'm going to help France. And that is probably what I was going to do. Um, so again, I'm not annoyed by the fact that they wanted me to go to Tours. But I just told them like, hey, Tours is the only direction that makes sense for me to go as Italy. And that is just true. There is nowhere else that unit can go that'll do anything for me. And what I am giving you in return is the opportunity that if Russia attacks you, I will have units in position to help you out. They did not buy that. They got very angry at me. And by the end of it, they were just like, hey man, fuck you. I'm gonna take Munich. And I was like, okay, I don't think you should do that. But I always wasn't that scared. I knew that France was supporting me in Munich. So I actually thought that if they used 2 units to attack me, that'd be pretty good because it leaves open the chance that France could get Belgium. Yeah. So let's see what happens. Not great shit for us. Well, I mean, some good shit. Because let's talk about the entire thing again, but I guess I'll start again with what's happened with Germany and France. So, I mentioned to France at the very end of the last turn, like, hey, I think I've gotten Germany to use 2 units to attack Munich. Maybe you could use that to your advantage. I wrote that to them as soon as I learned that, but turns out that Germany was the last player to end their turn. So basically, as soon as I found out they were going to use 2 units to attack me, they ended their turn, which ended the entire winter phase. So France did not have a chance to react to my information, which is unfortunate, because what they chose to do instead was not silly or dumb, but it wasn't good for us. Because what they did is that they, instead of going to Belgium, they went English Channel to Irish Sea. And Irish Sea makes a lot of sense if the York army was going to London, which is probably what I would have assumed that they were doing. But they didn't. Instead, England has the navy again in London, and York is now ready to defend Liverpool. And France has a navy in the Irish Sea that's going to do nothing for a long ass time. That really sucks. That's really bad. And I was like, I'm not putting a lot of eggs into France basket. My relationship with France is that I want them to succeed genuinely. I really want to work with them. I like them as a player, or at least our writing with each other, but I don't need them. Like, they can't afford to turn on me. And since I got my unit to, after this turn, I don't really need them anymore to hold Munich either. But that doesn't mean I didn't want the best for them, and this turn just was not the best for them. You might notice what's happening in Germany. They tried to attack me in Munich, and instead of supporting the attack with the rear unit, they accidentally supported my hold. Now, I think that's a misinput by somebody who hasn't played on web diplomacy before, and that makes sense, because I hadn't played on web diplomacy before, and I don't think I can definitely see how you might, misunderstand how support works on this map. But it wouldn't have mattered. If they did it properly, I would still have been able to hold in Munich with France's support. So again, France did help me here 100%, and I want to help them back. That's just the truth of it. They have I guess this is the first time they've explicitly helped me, but the previous turn, when I was walking into Munich, they were ready to support my move into Munich, which I'm still giving them credit for, even though I ended up saying, actually don't do that, do something that's better for you instead. I still appreciated that they were willing to do it. So yeah, I now owe France something, because I haven't really been able to do much for them yet. Just due to how the game state is. I wish I could do more for them, but that wasn't it. Anyway, Germany got real fucking mad at me, and I don't really know. That's silly, right? Can't really be mad at me for being like, hey, I'm gonna hold Munich, when I told them I was gonna hold Munich. That was my plan, but that I was willing to help them. I also told them last turn that, hey, Russia is probably gonna attack you, by the way. And they were like, yeah, they chose to ignore that. I get why they ignored it. They thought that they would die anyway if Russia attacked them, so why worry about it? But well, now that they are getting attacked by Russia, it does look a bit silly that Germany didn't take my warning seriously. So, after this happened, despite the fact that Germany was saying a lot of shit against me, I still offered them to say, hey, alright, now you are getting attacked by Russia, like I said they would. Now, I'm still willing to support you in a way that is mutually beneficial, in a way that doesn't require trust. And what I came up with is that I would be willing to support Kiel into Berlin, which is sort of helpful for Germany, because it means that if Russia tries to take Berlin with 2 units, they're not going to be able to take it, because the Kiel unit now has strength of 2 units with the help of my Munich unit. And that could mean that Germany would lose 0 supply centers this turn, which is honestly amazing considering the situation, considering the backstop they found themselves in. But they did not say, oh, thank you, sure, let's do that. They instead were like, fuck you, how about you move Munich to Silesia and Tyrol to Bohemia? Yeah, let me just move over here so you can see where it moves the units are now. I'm obviously not going to do that, and then I went to bed without answering. When I woke up in the morning, it seems that Germany have had talks with Austria, and basically at least seems to come to understand the fact that, hey, they do need my help to have any chance if they still want to play the game. And they probably do still want to play the game. Here's the issue. What they basically came up with, I guess what I came up with was that I am willing to, I'm either willing to do what I said I was going to do. I was going to go Kiel, support Kiel into Berlin, or I guess if you would rather want me to, I can also go Munich into Berlin and then bounce Russia. But it does require trust, because it's essentially the same move I did against France earlier, and that didn't work out, right? I ended up getting Munich. Now, I'm happy to remind people of the fact that that was part of my plan. That was a betrayal from me against Germany. I lied to them in that occasion. But this shows that it was a sensible enough strategy, because this is another situation where now I'm not lying to them, but I could bounce Russia in Berlin, which ruins their stuff. So yeah, I offered them those 2 options. Austria apparently talked to them and were basically like, yeah, he can help you from Munich. And then Germany basically came back and was like, okay, I fucked up. Yeah, and I reiterated how I could help them. Unfortunately, what I hadn't realized when I offered those 2 options was that, well, what I thought was that, let's say Russia goes to Berlin. If I support Munich from Tyrol, then I thought that even though Munich is going to Berlin, it's going to get bounced there, and then it's going to hold with the strength of 2 units. So that even if Germany betrayed me and they attacked with Kiel and Ruhr, they wouldn't be able to take Munich. And that was something I care a lot about, because I don't trust Germany. They were just they were really fucking unreasonable, and I don't owe them anything. And they kind of basically said to at least other players that I'm on the death list now. This is, they're gonna do anything they can to ruin my game. So I thought there is a great chance that Ruhr and Kiel will attack Munich. Yeah. And I thought it was going to be fine, because if they did that, I was going to hold with Tyrol, and yeah, they're just going to look like an asshole. And at that point, I can finally ignore them. But that won't work. With these moves I've queued up, if Russia bounces in Berlin, which is the most likely option, right? Germany could take Munich. If Tyrol chose to support Munich. Right now I changed it to move to Munich for a reason I'll explain in a bit. But if I chose to support Munich, they will not be able to hold against 2 German units unless Munich stood still or Munich only gave support to another unit. And that was what I suggested in the first place, right? That I was going to support Kiel into Berlin. So that one would have worked for me. That would be the sort of thing that I could offer that wouldn't cost me anything. And it would be mutually beneficial, because I do want Germany to slow down Russia. I can't have them. I can't have Russia take a lot of Germany right now, I don't think. But unfortunately, they took the other offer up, which is that I move into Berlin. And I am scared that they're doing that because they know they now can take Munich. Now, they would be such an asshole if they did it, obviously, because they said a lot of shit about me, as if I ruined their entire game, despite the fact that I telegraphed my moves literally every turn so far. I've told them where my units are going, Germany, but apparently it's still my fault that they're losing the game, which I don't know. I don't know how they squared that circle with themselves, but whatever. So since they are, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, as you can see on the moves I've locked in and readied up, I am planning on helping to bounce in Berlin like Germany requested. And I am hoping that they won't betray me. Or they'll only betray me with 1 unit because they think Tyrol is going to go to Bohemia. Or they are going to betray me with 2 units and France is going to come in clutch. I did mention to France the possibility that they might take Munich if Burgundy doesn't support Tyr into Munich. France said, yeah, I hear you. I can't promise that though, because apparently somebody has been leaking my moves these last couple of turns. And I'm just gonna say here, while like nobody's gonna hear this until the game is over, that's in the game at least. But I didn't leak anything. I am basically working with France fully. The only way I'm not working with France is that I'm not telling every other power that I'm all in with France. But I am, like, in my mind, in my heart, I'm kind of all in with France right now. So I wouldn't leak that to anybody, because I do want them to take shit against, especially England, but also I don't mind France taking stuff against Germany. I do want them to do that. So I didn't leak that, but apparently somebody has been leaking it, or England has been fucking soul reading France. And I don't know which one of them it is, but I don't blame France for being like, hey man, I can't tell you my move, because somebody's been leaking them and it could have been you. It's really annoying though, because if they could support Tyr into Münster, then worst case scenario is that nothing really different would have happened if they hadn't done that. But if they now do it, sorry, I'm rambling again. That didn't make sense. Anyway, I'm just saying it's unfortunate that they can't fully trust me, but I can't really blame France for not fully trusting me. Yeah, so that's the thing. France did sound like they're now going against England, which I like. Yeah, England is apparently just gonna spend the entire rest of the game to kill France. So I am totally fine with France killing England fully. Why the fuck not? It's gonna make them stronger, and as long as we're allied, that's what I want. Yeah, but Russia is just trouble. I'm not looking forward to explaining to Russia next turn. If Germany doesn't stab me, I don't look forward to explaining to Russia next turn why I went against them. If Germany did stab me, I'll still have to explain why I went against them. And I wouldn't look forward to that either. I am going to tell Russia something along the lines, and this is the truth, which is that, hey Russia, I understand you as a good enough player at this game to understand that when I move against you in Berlin, that does not mean that I hate you personally or I want to be enemies forever. I do want to continue to work with you, Russia, but you are right now just too powerful. I can't work with you unless we are at least close to each other in strength. which is why, as long as that is not the case, I am going to push a bit against you when I find opportune times to do that. And I hope they'll take that as what it is, which is that, hey, I'm not going all in with them, but I'm still somebody they can work with if that becomes necessary at some point. Yeah. Another bad thing was Austria's moves. Well, they weren't obviously the worst ever, because I am happy that they weren't lying about the Trier move to Albania. I just think it's a bad move. Yeah. In my mind, they're just not in a position where they're ready to attack Russia. And I can't blame them. Why would they attack Russia until, at minimum, that I am in Anatolia and I can support their attack on Russia in a proper way? It makes sense for them to wait, but having all these units clumped down here in the lower end of the Balkans, a lot of them are just not going to do anything useful. And I really just wish that they would open conflict with Russia right now, because I do think they'd be able to hold basically everything for a long ass time, for as long as they need to, and Russia would, and it would hurt Russia. They wouldn't continue to grow forever. But they didn't do that. Instead, they're going down here, and I still have to think that they are planning on fully playing with me for the time being. And I appreciate that, because Austria could still, in theory, if their diplomacy with Russia was good enough, just choose to kill me, and then maybe hope that Russia won't go back on their word if they promise them that they'd call it a draw as soon as they killed everybody else. That is something Austria could do if Russia offered it, so yeah. So I'm happy with the Austria player. I feel like we had some great diplomacy again this turn. Just like I feel like Germany was being dumb when they were actually mad at me for not attacking France in the position I was in. I am not mad at Austria for not attacking Russia in the position they were in. I just wish they did anyway. That's basically what I'm saying. But I can understand why Austria is waiting. And maybe I am overblowing how quickly we need to take out Russia. If we manage to hold them pretty well in Germany, and it doesn't look like Russia is about to take anything in Anatolia, then it's not like Russia is going to get to a lot more than 10 centers, and that's far from half the world. So it makes sense. It makes sense, Austria. Well played, well played. Yeah. Lastly, Turkey. This is finally the move that I've been planning for since turn 1, where now it's obvious that I'm attacking Turkey. I did not really realize how long this was going to take, because this is spring 1902. Now it's in autumn 1902. I'm finally going to be able to convoy to Anatolia, but I'm not even going to be able to take a center in 1902, no matter how well things go. Because, well, I guess that's not true, but I'm not going to risk convoying my unit to Smyrna. This is just not going to work, right? So I'm convoying it to Syria and then hoping I can take something after that point. Yeah. But basically, as soon as these moves got locked in, I was at the screen and I wrote to Turkey like, hey, I'm sorry, I am attacking you. I'm not going to pretend that I am not. I feel bad for doing this. You have done me no wrong, and obviously you're also in a bad spot. So going after you doesn't feel great. But I feel that I need to. I can't go after France or Austria because I like them both too much. I owe France a fair bit. Well, yeah, I owe France a fair bit due to the actions, and I owe Austria a fair bit due to the things they haven't done, which is betray me in situations where they could. And I had spent every turn since the first turn to do exactly this. So I couldn't pivot. And Turkey took that pretty well. They were like, yeah, I get it. I'm gonna ask though, I can't convince you to betray your ally Austria. Like, I could help you into Greece or something like that if you want to. And I did not know if I believed Turkey. I thought there was a good chance they were just doing that because that would be great for them. If I agreed to that, that would be great for them, because that means that they get to live, or it means that either they get to live because now me and Austria are fighting, or they are going to also betray me and they still get to live because me and Austria would still be fighting because I went against them, and now I would be weaker. So I thought they did it for in their own best interests, and that makes a lot of sense. They should play like that. But I basically just told them, no, I'm sorry, I can't agree to that. I should probably lie to you and say that I was doing it so that you'd be more out of position, but I can't do that. I'll just attack you, let the best man win. I hope you have a great final hurrah. And that is exactly what I'll be doing. I'll be convoying to Syria, and I'll be hopefully snagging a few Turkish centers. Finally. And we'll see what that does for me. But the game state in general is just not amazing. Yeah, it's just not amazing. But I'm really looking forward to these next movements to see what will happen. Is Germany going to betray me? And if they betray me, will France stop them from taking Munich with their Burgundy unit? Yeah, that's what I'm most worried about. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the only thing I'm really worried about this turn, because this is going to go through no matter what. I am curious to see how Turkey is going to react. Like, I guess the best thing for me would be if they went all in on taking something like Bulgaria. There is value in that, because then they get a build if they succeed. Yeah. But based on how they talked to me, they did say that they're gonna protect Smyrna. And I guess I believe that, but we'll see if that's what they do. Yeah, Russia. I hope that Germany doesn't betray me and that our moves goes off like we intended them. That Russia will be attacking Germany, but they won't be able to make any progress anywhere. Due to my support and maybe also England's support, and that, yeah, this basically becomes a wasted turn by Russia. That would be perfect. I hope France I hope they don't somehow lose something. I don't really see how they could lose anything this turn, but it's possible that England is moving to the English Channel, and then France would actually be in a bit of a pickle. But maybe only a bit of a pickle. I think they could be able to pull it out, because they will get a build next turn from Spain, basically no matter what. Yeah, I think they are going to slowly come back. And I am still not only willing, but I'm hoping that I get to help them make that comeback. Because while I am helping Germany this turn, that is one, because Austria wants me to, two, because I really need to. I just can't have Russia take so much so quickly. How will they ever stand up to them, especially when Austria isn't ready to fight yet? But three, I also just kind of want to do it to just show Germany, like, hey man, this will be the third turn in a row where I've completely telegraphed my moves, and the second turn in a row where I've done my moves how you wanted me to do them. Not second turn in a row, but second out. 2 of the last 3 turns have been me doing exactly what you wanted me to. I'm gonna need an apology. They're not gonna give me one, obviously. And once they see these videos, they shouldn't give me one. I don't know, I feel like the right thing for them to do is like, they're not gonna do this, I know, it's just a fucking game, who cares? But they should apologize to how they wrote to me, and because many of the things they said is just wrong and nonsensical. But they obviously still have the right to be mad at me because I did lie to them to get Munich. That part is just true. That's the one part they could be mad at me about, and if that was why they hated me, that would be a valid reason. But since that's not the main reason they hated me, it's not valid. Yeah. But we'll see if there are gonna be any more to it than that. Still having a good time, but maybe this game is simply just taking too much of my, not only my time, but also like my mental energy, man. This game is so exhausting. Writing so many messages and having somebody like Germany who just talks shit at you for dumb reasons is just, it is draining. And I probably should not have joined the other diplomacy games that's also going on, because I just don't have it in me to be as invested in those as I am in this one. Because if I was as invested in those games as I was in this one, I don't know, man. It'd be scary how much of my day would have to go to just thinking about these games. Anyway, I feel like I'm not getting better at making these videos. My thoughts become less and less collected. And that's probably because the diplomacy that's happening isn't getting any more refined. In the beginning I could talk about, oh, the opening moves I'm making, these are the people I'm having good relations with, blah blah blah. But a lot of those things become kind of more locked in now, and it's a lot more just like ugly, gritty diplomacy and yeah, hey, we need to stop a guy. Shit. Anyway, that doesn't mean I won't be back tomorrow to record another nonsensical video. See you later.